the money's going to go to closing the gaps in the public pension funding, to drug education for Ohio's youth, to compassionate and effective treatment for those suffering from addiction, and then we'll also have a carve out for municipality governments and county governments.
Thank you very much. Don?
First off, I want to say as far as conditions, obviously ours would let everybody have equal opportunity there. And the Ohio Rights Group, your amendment is the only other one that I've actually read so far. And I got to say, I really do love the list of conditions you guys added to yours. That was very inclusive. Aside from that, the taxes, we allow for sales taxes only, no excise taxes. That's the only difference, really the main difference between our initiative and Jack Hare's, which is what ours is greatly based off of. If any of you are familiar with Jack Hare. Aside from that, the sales taxes, we didn't want to create a different bureaucracy, a lot of red tape for everybody to have to go through, so it did be delegated through the Department of Department of Commerce and the Department of Agriculture, like any other crop commodity, and it would be sales tax only, which we figured, that's only fair. There's going to be so much revenue coming from that with all the ancillary businesses that pop up around cannabis also, and all the diverse markets everywhere. And we figured that just let the money go directly to the Department of Taxation like they did.
Thank you.
Let them, why reinvent the wheel? Tell them how to spend their money.
Chad?
I just want to say, with the local initiatives, the inclusive list of medical conditions is 100% whatever your condition is. I mean, it's we're going to completely decriminalize marijuana. So, cannabis, as you most know, helps anything from everyday stress to cancer. And so to put any kind of limitation on that, I feel is a bit limited. And so there's no limit on any condition. If you've been, whatever. As far as the taxes, how about this? There's no taxes. I mean, I heard a quote of about $1 billion black market money, and they try to equate that to taxes. Where does that money currently go? To the people. That's the people's market. So there's no taxes, there's no limits on a local initiative. The average cost to get a campaign on the ballot and successful is about $1,000. Low cost, low labor, and very limited limitations and regulation.
I would like to also add our initiative on this. After it was rejected last time, we decided to listen to the parents who are wanting CBD oil for their children. Without making our initiative full legalization and medical and having to set it up both separate or try to just come up with some confusing, over-regulated system, we figured it would be best to just go ahead and make ours, if it's someone that's under 18, they would have the ability to defend themselves with affirmative defense. So they just all they have to do is plead their medical case, and if they have a legitimate medical case in our modern society, that should be, they will have that legal right to use that evidence. So that's about the best we could do for that situation, unfortunately, since we don't want to have our initiative split in two by the Ohio Election Board. But I think that's that included a big demographic of our supporters that were really upset with us that we didn't have that before. This goes along with the medical conditions. We didn't really specify the conditions, just that they would have the right to defend their medical use.
Okay, thank you, Don. Next question?
Okay, this is going to probably be the last question since it's almost 8 o'clock or after, all right?
I think we should ask a couple more.
We'll ask this one. I think it's a good question. With the many initiatives that could be potentially on the ballot, what actions are being done not to be counterproductive for legalization or medical access? Will any of the groups make concessions for all the groups to work together? So basically, we're asking, will this be counterproductive? Can you work together?
Well, I was asked by the board of the Ohio Rights Group to look into a bunch of shenanigans that happened to the Ohio Rights Group last spring. A lot of us were busy circulating petitions, and all of a sudden it felt like the sharks took over and came into the organization. Significant conflicts of interest, self-dealing, election law violations, stuff like that happened within the Ohio Rights Group. We have cleaned up the problem, but my job is to investigate what happened. So if anybody has any information, I hope you'll contact me about this, because we're going to do a significant job of figuring out just what happened here, and it doesn't look good. And on the basis of that, it makes it really hard for us to work with other groups when our distrust level is so high that another group would send agents into our group to destroy our campaign. Does not look good. And so trying to make peace and reconciliation is great, but reconciliation has to come after truth. And so we really need a truth and reconciliation thing here, because this doesn't look good. I'm really shocked by some of the things I'm finding out happened here in Ohio.
Next group.
I'm not sure what that means, frankly, but you know, we are in open book. We are going for the 15th ballot. We're going to make it to the ballot. We are fully funded. We have an outreach hand to everybody that wants to work with us. If you don't want to work with us, that's okay. We're still going to get to the ballot. We're going to run an effective and winning campaign. We think we're better together than we are apart, but we also understand that there are hard feelings somewhere, and there may be hard feelings in other places. And you know, look, we're all adults. You don't want to work with somebody, don't work with them. We're not engaged in negative campaigns. We're not engaged in running someone down the road. We didn't start this to do that. We started this campaign to win. We're going to end this campaign on a win. And if you want to be a part of that win, join us. If you don't, that's okay. I think you'll also find if you haven't picked this up from me tonight, you know, if you really want someone that's going to fight like hell to make sure that we win, you're talking about this group. We're going to do everything we can to win, and that's the truth. And we would welcome your joining us.
Thank you.
Next group.
We would love to work with all the rest of the groups. I've physically tried to do it for the last 8 years. I've been trying to bring all of these groups together. I organized and helped organize the situation that Don was talking about earlier, where all the initiatives collected together. But I'm not willing to, and neither are the rest of the people in our group, to give up certain concessions what we feel is part of a viable cannabis market. So we will work. I want to work with every person in this room, and we're willing to make small compromises, as long as those compromises don't infringe on the foundation of what a real cannabis market should be.
Thank you. Don?
Yeah, you know, basically the same thing. When we had the multiple petitions together at the time, there was a medical initiative, one that was medical and hemp, and then there was one that's full legalization. And people really loved, you know, that's basically the nutshell of what those initiatives were about. As far as like collaborating, I mean, collaboration attempts before I reached out and said let's try to go ahead and put these petitions side by side, work together, see what Ohio will support, that's always a standing invitation for me for any groups that I can at least agree with for the most part. I would say that I did have another point there. I guess, yeah, you know, as far as what had happened in the past, the idea of working together had been, well, just go ahead and put what you're doing on hold and let's work on this thing instead. And you know, I figured, well, why don't we just work on them together? So that's basically where I've always been. Now, if there is, I don't want to get too negative here myself, but as far as if there is an initiative that is planned that will greatly impact Ohio's farmers, then I would be against that. So that would make that situation hard to work with, but
Okay.
I do respect that there's, you know,
Thank you, Don, very much. I need to ask 2 questions. It's after 8 o'clock. We got to get this done. Rob, you can speak in a moment. You sit down.
Okay, it's pertinent to this question. It's one sentence.
Once, go ahead.
Ohio NORML has made it the policy that we will have your petitions at our booth. All we ask for is that you supply us the paper, we'll give it back, and that you pass through the gates of the Attorney General and the Secretary of State. And we will have them lined up, every single one. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you. Okay, 2 quick questions, and then we're going to close up. This question is for OTAP. When will you be releasing your ballot language? Do you have a date?
We don't have a specific date. We're shooting for the end of the month. We would like to, it could be done as soon as a couple weeks. It might be done a month. Might be a few days later than that. We don't want to rush it. What we do want to make sure is that we get it right.
Okay, thank you. Can I ask the same question in respect to Ohio? Everybody wants your amendment. When can we have it?
Yeah, it's here tonight. It's actually going to be filed. Our goal is to file by Friday. It may get filed on the Attorney General on Monday.
When will we have it? Like we can physically
You
like
can
put it
actually
on
see
your
it. It's
website.
here. It's
Right, I mean like take it
on the website. It's going to be this week.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. My last question is for Responsible Ohio. Why did you decide on 10? I'm sorry.
Sorry?
Why the 10? Why the 10?
Chris, you want to take that?
Sure. I mean, we ran economic modeling, and we looked at demand in the various other states. We reviewed this RAND study, and the RAND study from just a couple months ago suggested that 10 was an optimal number if you've got a tightly regulating commission. So we went in the direction of a tightly regulating commission. We backfilled based on consumer demand what the size of these facilities would look like, and we came up with about 3 million square feet of grow, and worked through again the economics and the supply and demand to make sure they matched up, and we came to 10 based on the RAND study.
One quick thing here on the other part of this.
There's a question.
Just really quickly.
Hey, let's the
The other aspect of this is that the 10 they don't stay forever. So if they break the law, they have their license revoked and replaced. If someone that has a license breaks the law and they can have that license
Fails to
revoked.
follow any
Fails to follow
regulations.
regulations, they have their license revoked, and that's then put back out
I have a
the
question.
market.
Do you
Also,
have-
one other quick
sorry.
thing, I'm sorry. If the demand cannot be met from those 10, the state has the authority to add licenses until that demand is met. So, I mean, I think those are important aspects of this whole process, in
So it's
addition
in
to
your
the
language
market.
that you can't add. There
That's-
will be, if
it
the
is.
demand is needed,
Indeed.
it will
Yeah.
be added.
Yes.
Does that go for the labs as well, or is that just for the growth facility?
Anybody can do labs.
Oh, okay.
At a minimum, there will be 5 research and testing facilities, but that's just a floor. We expect that there will be more testing facilities and research facilities.
Okay, fantastic.
Oh,
You
this
had-
question that no one's really asking, but I think everyone wants to know is, how does creating a cartel benefit anyone besides the people that profit from it?
You cannot call. I'm
That's
sorry.
a legitimate question.
This you can do this at home on Facebook.
No, that's a legitimate question we all
It
want
is
to
a
know.
legitimate question, but not here. No,
All in good this evening. Thank you for all coming
That's a
out.
legitimate question. Answer the
I
question.
understand.
We're
Thank
done.
you.
Okay? So, 8 o'clock, past 8 o'clock.
Why is that not like
Past 8 o'clock. We're done. We're done.
Why is that? Answer the question.
Thank everyone for coming out.
Wait a second. Please. I want to thank everyone for coming.